Good day everyone, I am Anton Obiliesco, the representative of my group, together with Meldan Baguio. So for today, I'm going to discuss about the importance of arts, the assumptions of arts, as well as the functions of arts. So let's get started! So let's first discuss about the importance of arts. Here's what I've got.
Why is art important? If you ask 100 artists, 100 different answers will be drawn out. The answers are anchored from the individual's different orientations, preferences, biases, education exposure, and culture. We ask ourselves, why do we keep on looking for something new? Why do we keep on watching film or listening to music? Why do we love to draw or paint? To sculpt or carve? To act or play instruments? To sing or dance? To take photographs or make films? These are forms of art making that human beings can't resist. Whatever reasons we have, these always boil down to one essential ground.
Art can communicate information, shape our everyday lives, make a social statement, and be enjoyed for aesthetic beauty.
Art is important because it helps us feel free, refreshed, and exhilarated. It allows us to see new perspectives on our world, our emotions, and our possible futures. Art guides us on powerful journeys in what ways that are often safer than real life, but which can impact our real lives positively nonetheless. Art also influences society by changing opinions, instilling values, and translating experiences across space and time. Research has shown that art affects the fundamental sense of self. Painting, sculpture, music, literature, and other arts are often considered to be repository of the society's collective memory. The purpose of art is to produce thinking. The secret is not the mechanics or technical skills that create art, but the process of introspection and different levels of contemplation that generate it. Once you learn to embrace this process, your creative potential is limitless. Art is part of our civilization. Thus, our civilization becomes alive and dynamic because of it. Imagine, if you take away music, dances, literary piece, paintings, sculptures, clothing, furniture, jewelry, utensils, tools or weapons, buildings, and other structures which are obviously dominating our life, what do you think would our society look like? Art is there to serve us either with our want or need. It is there to carry out its purpose. In diversely dynamic ways, art touches our lives.
Now, let's proceed to the assumptions of art. So the three assumptions of arts are the following. Art is universal. Second, art is not nature. Third, art involves experience. So, are these assumptions reliable and are accepted by most common people?
As we can see on the different websites on the internet, there are various assumptions about arts. But we have three major assumptions of arts that is highly crucial and significant. First assumption is that art is universal. Art has always been timeless and universal, spanning through generations and continents through and through. But is this assumption really reliable? Art is universal. Does this mean everyone, everywhere at all times creates art, or that art has been and is being created in all societies, or that everyone and everywhere can find and engage with art? So you see that the assumption is too vague to allow for a decent answer. The second assumption is art is not nature. Art is man's expression of his reception of nature. Art is man's way of interpreting nature. What we can say about this second assumption? Art is not nature. This is either art involving nature is not art, or it means art cannot be found in nature, or not created by humans. The first is wrong. The second is an ongoing point of debate that goes to a definition of art. Third and last assumption of art is that art involves experience. Unlike fields of knowledge that involve data, art is known by experiencing. A work of art then cannot be abstracted from actual doing. In order to know what is an artwork is, we have to sense it, see or hear it, and see and hear it. What can we say about this third assumption? Art involves experience. If experience means practical contact with observations of facts or events, then it is hard to see how anyone could create art, or for that matter, perceive or engage with art without involving facts or events. I think that in the definition, observations is wrong and should be changed into engagement or response, as a visually disabled person can still engage with facts and events. Without experience, it's the if a tree falls in a forest problem. The above three assumptions set the boundary on a responsibility and obligation of man in fulfilling what he or she is capable of doing. Man has to communicate. Man has to utilize art to bridge understanding and let society advance its growth. Henceforth, art is a constant reaction to the world around us. It caters both our differences and uniqueness.
Let's move on to the last topic of this report, the functions of arts.
Art has had a great number of different functions throughout its history, making its purpose difficult to quantify to any single concept. This does not imply that the purpose of art is vague, but that it has had many unique, different reasons for being created. Here are some functions of arts. Expression of the imagination. Art provides a means to express the imagination in non-grammatic ways. Ritualistic and symbolic functions. In many cultures, art is used in religion, spiritual or magical rituals, performances, and dances as a decoration or symbol of a god or other divine quality. Communication. Art, at its simplest, is a form of communication. Most forms of communication have an intent or goal directed toward other people. Illustrative art, such as scientific illustration, are a form of art as a communication. Entertainment. Art may seek to bring about a particular emotion or mood for the purpose of relaxing or entertaining the viewer. This often of the function of art industries such as motion pictures and video games. Political change. One of the defining functions of early 20th century art has been to use visual images to bring out about political change. Art movements that had this goal, Dadaism, Surrealism, and Futurism, among others, are collectively referred to as the avant-garde arts. Social causes. Art can be used to raise awareness for a large variety of causes. A number of art activities are aimed at raising awareness of AIDS, autism, cancer, human trafficking, and a variety of other topics such as ocean conservation, human rights in Darfur, murdered and missing Aboriginal women, elder abuse, marriage equality, and pollution. Trash-on, using trash to make fashion, is one example of using art to raise awareness about pollution. Psychological and healing purposes. Art is also used by art therapists, psychotherapists, and clinical psychologists as art therapy. The diagnostic drawing series, for example, is used to determine the personality and emotional functioning of a patient. The end product is not the principal goal in this case, but rather as a process of healing through creative acts is sought. Propaganda or commercialism. Art is often utilized as a form of propaganda and thus can be used to subtly influence popular conceptions or mood. In a similar way, art that tries to sell a product also influences mood and emotion. In both cases, the purpose of art here is to subtly manipulate the viewer into a particular emotional or psychological response toward a particular idea or object.
Art can be generally classified into two. We have the directly functional art and the indirectly functional art. So, how are these two types of functions of arts differ?
Functional arts provides with ease and comfort in living our everyday lives. These forms of arts directly serves human basic needs such as tools, architectural structures, furniture, kitchen utensils, clothes, weapon, and etc. While non-functional arts are basically used to inform, educate, and entertain people. These are perceived through the senses such as paintings, sculptures, music, literary pieces, dance, theatrical performance, and etc. Arts serve several functions, as stated earlier. In terms of function, it is differentiated by the degree of our exposure towards these arts. We utilize art for personal purposes. We utilize art to go beyond from comfort space and to affect and persuade other individuals. We utilize art for physical purposes such as tool. These tools define man. Thus, art is utilized to improve our way of life.
Well, we can't really deny that art is really a fun and interesting, especially on its deeper aspects. To sum it up, let's remember these major key points.
To sum it up, art is important because it is part of our civilization. Art is important because it helps us to feel free, refreshed, and exhilarated. It allows us to see new perspectives on our world, our emotions, and our possible futures. Some assumptions of arts include art is universal. Art is not nature, and art involves experience. While there are several functions of arts which have different purposes, such as expression of the imagination, ritualistic and symbolistic function, communication, entertainment, political change, social causes, psychological and healing purposes, as well as propaganda and commercialism. In addition, functional arts or arts are classified into two, the directly functional art and the indirectly functional art. Functional arts provide us with the ease and comfort in living our everyday lives, meaning these arts can be used by us physically to improve our way of life, such as tools, while the indirectly functional arts are perceived through our senses.
And that ends our report. I hope you learned something from our discussion. Thank you and God bless us all.